Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. A reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Answers by citing the Lord's version. Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 25. Okay. Brahmavacha Bhagavan Sarvabhutanam Adyakshaha Avastitaha Bhuyam Veda Hi Apratirudena Pragyena Chikirshitam Rama Uvacha Bhagavan Sarvabhutanam Adyaksho Vishtito Guham Vedaya Pratirudena Pragyena Chikirshitam Rama Uvacha Bhagavan Sarvabhutanam Adyaksho Vastito Guyam Vedaya Pratirudena Pragyena Chikyasitam Rama Uvacha Bhagavan Sarvabhutanam Adyaksho Vastito Guyam Vedaya Pratirudena Pragyena Chikirshitam
Brahmovacha Bhagavan Sarvabhutanam Yaksho Vasito Guham Vedaya Pratirudhena Pragyanena Chikirshitam
Brahmovacha Bhagavan Sarvabhutanam Adhyaksho Vastito Guham Vedahya Pratirudhena Prajnanena Chikishitam
Brahmovacha Bhagavan Sarvabhutanam Adyaksho Vastito Guham Vedaya Pratirudena Pragyanena Chikishitam
Brahmovacha
Brahmovacha
Bhagavan Sarvabhutanam
Bhagavan Sarvabhutanam
Adyaksho Vastito Guham
Tadyaksho Vastito Dhyam
Vedaya Pratirudena Pragyanena Chakirshitam
Pragyanena Chakirshitam.
Brahmovacha Bhagavan Sarvabhutanam
Bhagavan Sarvabhutanam
Yakshorvastito Guham
Tadyaksho Vastito Dhyam
Vedaya Patirundena
Vedaya Pratiludena
Vajdanera Chikrishitam
Vajdanera Chikrishitam
Brahmovacha Bhagavan Sarvabhutanam Adyaksho Vastito Guham Vedahya Pratirudena Pragyanena Chakirshitam.
Brahma Uvacha, Lord Brahma said, Bhagavan, O my Lord, Sarvabhutanam, of all living entities, Adyakshaha, director, Avastitaha, situated, Guyam, within the heart, Veda, no, he, certainly, Apratirudena, without hindrance, Pragyanena, by superintelligence, Shikirsitam, endeavors. Translation: Lord Brahma said, O personality of Godhead, you are situated in every living entity's heart as the supreme director, and therefore you are aware of all endeavors by your superior intelligence, without any hindrance whatsoever. Report written by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that the Lord is situated in everyone's heart as the witness, and as such, he is the supreme director of sanction. The director is not the enjoyer of the fruits of action, for without the Lord's sanction, no one can enjoy it. For example, in a prohibited area, a habituated drunkard puts forward his application to the director of drinking, and the director, considering his case, sanctions only a certain amount of liquor for drinking. Similarly, the whole material world is full of many drunkards, in the sense that each and every one of the living entities has something in his mind to enjoy, and everyone desires the fulfillment of its desires very strongly. The Almighty Lord, being very kind to the living entities, as the Father is kind to the Son, fulfills the living entity's desire for his childhood satisfaction. With such desires in mind, the living entity does not actually enjoy, but he serves the bodily whims unnecessarily, without profit. The drunkard does not derive any profit out of drinking, but because he has become a servant of the drinking habit and does not wish to get out of it, the merciful Lord gives him all facilities to fulfill such desires. The impersonalists recommended that one should become desireless, and others recommended banishing desires altogether. That is impossible. No one can banish desires altogether, because desiring is the living symptom. Without having desires, a living entity would be dead, which he is not. Therefore, living conditions and desire go together. Perfection of desires may be achieved when one desires to serve the Lord. And the Lord also desires that every living entity banish all personal desires and cooperate with his desires. That is the last instruction of the Bhagavad Gita. Brahmaji agreed to this proposal, and therefore he is given the responsible post of creating generations in the vacant universe. Oneness with the Lord, therefore, consists of dovetailing one's desires with the desires of the Supreme Lord. That makes for the perfection of all desires. The Lord, as the supersoul in the heart of every living being, knows what is in the mind of each living entity, and no one can do anything without the knowledge of the Lord within. By his superior intelligence, the Lord gives everyone the chance to fulfill his desires to the fullest extent, and the resultant reaction is also awarded by the Lord. Translation again is, Lord Brahma said, O personality of Godhead, you are situated in every living entity's heart as the supreme director, and therefore you are aware of all endeavors by your superior intelligence without any hindrance whatsoever. Maharaj, we would really appreciate your comments on this verse.
So God is fulfilling the desires of all living entities. And when they have selfish desires, he even fulfills those. Just like a father whose son wants something that's not actually good, doesn't desire it. For example, let's say he wants to put his finger in the fan. The father says, don't do it. You'll get hurt. Still, the son wants to do it, he insists. So the father turns the fan down on low, and then he lets the child put his finger in, and he gets a little hurt, but doesn't cut off his finger or anything. But then he learns not to do it again. Now, the father doesn't want to harm the son, but the son is insisting. So at least if he does it, at least if the son tries to put his finger in when the fan is on the low, slowly going around, then he won't be very much harmed. In a similar way, Krishna or God is supplying the necessities of all living entities. Even when they desire something that's not good for them, they shouldn't desire, but because they're individuals and they insist. So he gives it to them. But he gives a warning that it's at your expense. You're responsible. You have to take the responsibility for what's going to happen. So that's in the scriptures, that whatever you want to do, then you have to pay the price for that. If there's bad results, that comes on you. God is not responsible. If the father gives a son good advice, and the son neglects that good advice and acts contrary, the son has to suffer the consequences. Indirectly, the father may also be said to have to suffer, because if his son is punished naturally he feels bad. And it's not good for his reputation, so many things. But the direct punishment, direct reaction is taken by the living entity as the Son of God. But God explains, now you have your independence. It's true. You can do what you like, but why don't you do the right thing? Why don't you act with me? For example, the father may have a nice business. He built up a very successful business, and he invites the son to be a partner, full share partner. So the son says no, but he has some illegal business that he's doing against the law. And he prefers to do that. He thinks he'll be happier, he won't have to pay taxes, and so many things. So the Lord lets the living entities have free will. He doesn't interfere with that. He doesn't force them to stop. He tries through his instructions, through his example, through so many ways, he tries to convince living entities not to behave that way. But if they insist, then he lets them do it, and they take the responsibility. He never destroys the living entities. There's no instance of the Lord destroying them. But he lets them live eternally, and they can either act in the material world or they can act in the spiritual world. If they act in the spiritual world, there's no difficulty. There's no bad effects. They act in the material world, bad effects. They have to take them. God is not responsible. People say that if there were God, he couldn't allow so many horrible things to happen. But the horrible things that are happening are not his responsibility. He sets things up. The free will the living entities have is not damaged. It's not rescinded. They should use their free will to cooperate with the Lord. Then they'll be happy. There won't be any bad results. We don't have to have hurricanes and earthquakes. Those things are not required for our living. In the spiritual world, there's no earthquakes. Everyone died. So many people died in the earthquake. No. No dying, no suffering, no earthquakes. Only transcendental bliss that gets better and better with full variety of activities. So that's a summary of how the material world works, how the spiritual world works, what the psychology of the Lord is, psychology of the living entity. It's all explained here.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for enlightening us with your superior intelligence. So, as you were saying, everything that we do here in this material world, it carries a cause and effect. With every action, there is a reaction. This is the law of karma that Krishna teaches us about in the Bhagavad Gita. And we have to be very careful to guard against creating negative reactions because they just bring us down lower. See, we all are in a very, very fortunate position here at Rupanuga Vedic College because we have met a great soul who has instructed us on what the goal of our human life is. And this goal, once we become fixed in our determination of achieving this goal, we develop an awareness towards this intended goal. And we want to do everything to safeguard against committing offenses that bring us away from achieving this intended goal. This awareness or this of the desire is called prayojana bodh. And once somebody actually has this realization, they've developed this level that nothing can shake them from Krishna's lotus feet. Nothing can deter the fact that they've been given this knowledge by the great souls. And no matter what they do, that the fact is not going to change. The end goal is not going to change anymore after a certain point. So when that awakens, then the devotee starts to become determined to achieve that goal. Very much so. And then when the determination takes place, the devotee, he starts to develop something called lolium, or a transcendental greed to attain that goal. And this is a pretty advanced stage that a devotee will develop. But a sign of lolium that I could think of is a devotee takes the instructions of his spiritual master as everything. And he knows that this service that my spiritual master has given me, this is my means to reach perfection and nothing else. So let me try to do this with whatever devotion or whatever sentiment or whatever love I can muster up right now for Krishna. And you do it in that way to try to please the spiritual master. The spiritual master is the transparent medium, Krishna, because he is very, very dear to Krishna, the spiritual master. You think about how many living entities there are in this whole cosmic creation. So many planets, so many stars, demigods, asuras, so many different living entities are coming. And Krishna, he's seated within the heart of all of these living entities, every one of them. And he knows the desires and the heart of all of those living entities. It's such a rare position to come to devotional service in this age of Kali Yuga, because the effects are progressing very rapidly. So one who has taken to this process of devotional service, they should really safeguard against committing any offenses, doing things that Krishna doesn't like. If you want to develop love for somebody, you have to learn about it. You have to hear what he does, what he looks like, what he likes to eat. What does he want his friends to behave like? Krishna tells us exactly this in the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. He explains what the qualifications are to reach this perfection. So the problem that we have is this prayojana bodh is not awakened yet. We're not actually convinced that this is the path, or that we don't have that level of conviction maybe. And Krishna, he has so much appreciation for us, so much love for us, the fallen condition jiva souls. He has already accepted us. He is seated within our hearts. But it is our problem that we have not yet accepted him. We have to accept the Lord and accept his instructions and follow them. And in this way we can attain perfection. Get out of this material world that is said to be like a prison house. It's not a place for enjoying. If the prisoner is locked in prison away, he is a first-class prisoner, he may be given facility to cook or to wander around the prison without being locked away in a cage 24 hours. He is a third-class prisoner, he might be locked away in a cage. But that first-class prisoner, he is thinking, I'm so special, I get to cook, I get to walk around, I'm not as restricted. But he is still in a prison house. So we have to remember this about the material world. And once we can start applying these things, we see that the process works by association with advanced devotees. They develop kripa, they develop mercy, the advanced devotees. And a symptom of this kripa is that you see all the good qualities in all of the people around you. But you think of yourself as very low. You see your own faults. But you see all the other devotees and all the wonderful service that they're doing. Even the people who are not directly shaven-headed or living in a temple practicing, somebody with kripa still sees these persons as very high. These people are doing so much. They're serving Krishna too. It may not be direct. They may be serving Maya, which is Krishna's external energy. But they're still serving the guard. Maya Devi, she acts as a guard, to keep those in the material world who deserve to be in the material world. So we have to pray to Durga Devi or Maya, and we have to pray to Krishna and ask for her blessing so she can bless us, so we no longer have to be a servant of her in this life. We can directly serve her master, and in this way hopefully give more pleasure to her, a devotee of Krishna. Shri Gauranitai ki jai. So humility is another symptom of this kripa. It is said that the tree that bears the most fruit bows the lowest. This humility is the ornament of a sadhu. It's something that becomes awakened through devotional service. And if we take the instructions that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us, Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahasrana, Amana, Mundena, Kirtanai Sada Harihi. One who thinks himself lower than the grass, who is more tolerant than a tree, and who does not expect personal honor, but is always prepared to give all respect to others, can very easily always chant the holy name of the Lord. So this is the remedy to counteract all these sinful births that we have taken. All of the past sins in this life, millions of other lives that we've been occurring. This chanting of the holy name is the remedy for this. So as long as we remain humbler than a blade of grass, says Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada, we will be able to perform Hari Kirtan. But the moment we try to become bigger or greater, we will have to say goodbye to Kirtan. So if we can take these instructions as our life and soul, to chant the glories of Lord Hari always, to associate with the devotees in a mood of service, working together to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to give him pleasure together, then Krishna, he will become pleased. But as soon as we develop a separatist mentality, seeking out independence or some kind of personal gain for ourselves, then there is chance that the kirtan cannot continue anymore. So let's try to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead together and always endeavor to chant his glories, chant his names, and associate nicely with each other. So there's a few moments left in class. Does anyone want to continue some conversation about any of the points that were made or anything that's discussed in the purport?
Question. How to maintain the patience to develop that conviction and that devotional service is, our goal.
Well, we have to develop faith, and we have to keep watering the Bhakti Lata Bij, the seed, the devotional creeper that the Guru gives to his disciple. And the way that we water this Bhakti Lata Bij is with the tears when we chant. This is how it is watered. But if the tears are not coming, then, we're not in the right mood chanting. Because when the tears come, you understand, I am so fallen. I have no hope. I have no hope. And I'm posing as a devotee, and I'm trying to chant the Lord's holy names, but I can't do it. I don't have a taste for it. And you have to cry like a mother or a baby calls out for his mother when you chant Hare Krishna. In this way, you can start to develop really, really firm conviction that this is it, that this is the way. Because Prabhupada, he's discussing the drunkard in the purport, the drunkard. He has this designated gratification of the mind that he's trying to conceal. This is what we all have in some way or another, because it's the soul's natural position to want to enjoy. But we're in Kali Yuga and we're so degraded, it's the only enjoyment that we're told by society is that which tastes like nectar in the beginning and poison in the end. Intoxication, meat eating, gambling, illicit sex life. These 4 sinful pillars will keep us from having these realizations in our chanting. And we have to We have to take shelter because everyone needs to to um, experience some pleasure. And if we don't experience a very, very heightened, if we don't have the secret like a drunkard, he has his secret bottle and he is taking sips of his designated liquor throughout the day. If we don't have that treasure of devotional service and we're not getting a very high level of fulfillment, that treasure within our heart, then we're going to have to get intoxicated some other way. Since this is not a place of enjoying, we never feel good or happy. So it's very easy to seek out some means to do that quickly. But that incurs so much sinful reaction. There's a very nice verse that I was reading that Advaita Acharya Prabhu spoke, and it came to mind when I had read this purport, because everybody is seeking out intoxication in some way or another, and we must get intoxicated on the holy name. So this verse that Lord Advaita Acharya Prabhu spoke, Bolake kahiha lokaha ila bahula, Bolake kahiha atena vikaya chura, Baluke kohia kaye na kia alura, Balake kahia ahi kahia che balua. Please inform Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is acting like a madman, that everyone here has become mad like him. Also, inform him that in the marketplace, rice is no longer in demand. Further tell him that those now mad in ecstatic love are no longer interested in the material world. Also, tell Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that one who has also become a madman in ecstatic love, Advaita Prabhu, has spoken these words. So we have to become like a madman for Krishna. And we can do that by remaining in the right humble mood and always chanting the Lord's holy names, rendering whatever service we can. And in that way, we can really develop this strong conviction and become greedy after achieving that goal. Anyone have any other questions or comments? Thank you for kindly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. His Holiness Danavir Maharaj ki jai.